Hello, listeners, and welcome to a new episode of Business Compact, the podcast for founders, seasoned business owners, or everybody else who is interested in learning about the world of international business. In each episode, we will explore topics related to the creation, growth, and globalization of businesses, from founding challenges to international growth opportunities. Our guests will share their insights, personal opinions, and lessons learned along the way, inspiring you to take a closer look at each individual discussed topic. My name is Tobias Kerkhoff, and I'm the General Manager for Internationalization at Wannabe International Business and your host for this episode. I hope you enjoy the upcoming conversation, and as always, if you have any comments, need support for your international business, or want to be on this podcast as a guest too, you're welcome to contact me under my email shown at the beginning of this episode. Finally, of course, feel free to subscribe to this podcast and our newsletter. Joining me on today's podcast episode is Laura Grisales, lawyer and founder of Lynceus Law Firm. She owns a master in intellectual property and information technology law and a diploma in commercial law. Together with her multidisciplinary team, she provides comprehensive advice to her clients in 4 different languages on commercial matters, taking into account both the economic and legal perspective. Additionally, Laura is doing her PhD at the Georg-August-University Göttingen and holds a scholarship of the Konrad Adenauer Foundation. We first met in Colombia in 2016. I studied together with her German husband. So welcome, Laura. It's a real pleasure to have you on our podcast.
Hi, Tobias. Thank you for inviting me here to your podcast.
You're welcome. Then let's start right away. Could you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Certainly. I'm a lawyer with a specialization in commercial law. I'm originally from Colombia, but now I'm working with clients across borders. I have always been passionate about how law can connect different industries and cultures, particularly in the globalized world we live today. So I started my own practice in 2019 to focus more on helping businesses with cross-border regulations, particularly in Europe and Latin America, but with a strong focus in Germany and Colombia. And the rest you said, currently I'm pursuing a PhD in law at the Georg-August-University in Göttingen, where I also completed the LL.M in information technology law and intellectual property. My research focuses on intersection of artificial intelligence and law. I was a member of the Frankfurt Bar Association, actively involved with the Colombian German Jurist Association, and part of a Women in AI initiative. So my work is about cross-border legal issues, and I'm passionate about the impact of technology in the legal field.
Thanks for the introduction. And by the way, congratulations on the company's 5th anniversary.
Thanks so much.
Unfortunately, the prejudice persists that the subject of law is dry as a bone, consisting only of paragraphs, amendments, and small prints. In fact, there are many more different areas of expertise, for example, civil law, commercial law, and so on. What is your specific area of expertise and how do you counter the prejudices?
Well, I specialize in international business law, and within that, I focus on commercial law, contract law, and technology. I understand the perception that law can be seen as dry or rigid, but I think that stems from a misunderstanding in my field of law. Anyway, law is not just about regulation, it's about solving problems, creating frameworks for businesses to operate, and often protecting people's rights. So I counter that prejudice by emphasizing the dynamic of human aspects of law. Whether it is negotiating a deal or resolving a dispute, it's about people, the strategy, and the lawyer's creativity.
Totally makes sense to me. And you can believe me, there are more than enough widespread prejudices also against business consultants. For example, that we are simply overpaid or can only take people out, which is absolutely nonsense. Another argument which illustrates the variety of law is that law is a people business, which means that a major part of the success in your business is related to the interaction with clients. Since you're originally from Colombia, as you've just mentioned, and focus on international business law between your home country and Europe, How important do you consider intercultural competences for your daily work as an international lawyer?
Intercultural competence is absolutely crucial in my work. I'm constantly interacting with clients from different cultural and legal backgrounds and understanding not just the legal system, but also the cultural particularities and communication style is key to building trust and ensuring effective collaboration. It also helps prevent misunderstandings that can arise from the cultural differences. For example, what might be seen as assertive negotiation in one country could be viewed as disrespectful in another. So this awareness is essential in international business law.
I totally agree. It's completely different doing business with someone from, let's say, Brazil, Japan, or Switzerland. You can be an expert in your field, but still, without taking into account cultural specifics, you're not going to succeed on the run. According to your own experience, what are the main differences in international law between Latin America, or more precisely Colombia, and the European Union, considering that there exist different legal systems around the world, civil law and common law, just to mention the most popular ones? And I'm aware that this highly depends on the specific case. There is no one-fit-all solution.
Yes, you are right. It depends on the specific case. Both Latin America and the European Union primarily follow civil law. Colombia also follows civil law, which is based on Roman law. However, the way these legal systems are applied can differ significantly. The one major distinction is the level of legal harmonization. In the European Union, there is a strong push for harmonizing laws across member states, especially in areas like trade and consumer protection, so in my field, which adds complexity, but it also adds consistency. In contrast, in Latin American countries, while also using civil law, often have more localized legal frameworks, meaning that laws can vary more significantly between countries. So we have to specialize more in studying that legal framework. And additionally, the European Union's legal framework is highly influenced by supranational institutions, while in Latin America, this regional integration isn't as advanced legally.
So even if both legal systems belong to the group of civil law and therefore should have a lot of aspects in common, you must be aware of the small differences, which could cause great harm to your business. And again, don't forget taking into account the cultural specifics. Legal disputes could consume way more time in other countries than, for instance, in Germany or Switzerland. As mentioned during your introduction, you decided to start your own business in 2019. Why did you choose this path instead of working for a multinational law firm?
I chose to start my own practice because I wanted the flexibility to focus on the types of cases and clients that I'm most passionate about. So in a larger law firm, you sometimes don't have that free. And I also saw an opportunity to bridge the gap between Latin America and Europe in the term of business and of business law. And I wanted to provide more personalized services to companies in this market. Having my own firm allows me to be more hands-on with my clients and look for strategies that fit their specific needs.
Thank you for sharing these personal insights with us. Let's dive a little bit deeper into the topic of running your own business. Since many of our listeners are independent workers and entrepreneurs too, could you share some advice with them? For instance, in my own opinion, one of the main issues for any entrepreneur is the creation of a strong brand and access to venture capital.
Yes, for entrepreneurs, especially in the legal or consulting space, building a strong personal brand is important. The clients are often looking for trust and expertise. So showing your knowledge through articles, talks, or networking can help establish your reputation. Especially for startups, it's important to have a clear vision and understand your market. So my suggestion is Be prepared to show investors not only your passion, but also a potential return on their investment. In my experience, the networking and finding the right mentors are invaluable for gaining this traction.
Thanks for sharing these useful recommendations with our listeners. Talking about venture capital, EY identified last year during their market study a so-called gender investment gap, which means that only 2%, I repeat, only 2% of venture capital in Germany went to female founders. According to your own experience as a female founder, what are the main obstacles at the beginning of this journey?
One of the main obstacles for female founders is definitely the access to funding, as highlighted by the gender investment gap. From my own experience, it's often harder for women to get a seat at the table, especially in male-dominated industries. And there is also a challenge of balancing societal expectations around leadership and likability. Women are sometimes held to a different standard when it comes to leadership style, which can affect how we are perceived by investors. However, I have found that the persistence and building a strong network and aligning with other women in the industry can help overcome this barrier.
And of course, there are many more obstacles. Sometimes these are even the same for founders as for employees. Just think of childcare issues or the care of elderly or sick family members. So as you can see, we definitely need to improve the general conditions for female founders and also employees. Recently, you moderated a discussion on the work and current priorities of the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, with a special focus on digital rights and AI governance at the United Nations in Geneva. Could you share 3 or 4 insights of this discussion with our listeners?
Of course, one major takeaway is that digital rights, particularly the right to privacy, are becoming more vulnerable as AI and data collection expand. There was also a strong focus on how AI can perpetuate biases, which makes it crucial to establish ethical frameworks for artificial intelligence governance. Another insight is the need for global cooperation. Countries must work together to ensure that AI development is both fair and transparent. And lastly, we discussed the importance of accountability, particularly how to hold companies and governments responsible for the misuse of AI technologies.
Thanks. I'm sure this was a very interesting discussion. Still, I guess it's a long way to a more transparent and fair AI governance. One final question linked to the previous one. We see that AI clearly affects businesses already, and in my opinion, will have an even increasing impact in the next years. How do you assess the role of AI for your sector? And do you think that within the next decade, AI will replace the human lawyer?
AI is already transforming the legal by automating tasks like document review, legal research, and content analysis, which can save us a lot of time. However, I don't believe that AI will replace human lawyers anytime soon. Law involves a deep understanding of human behavior, ethics, and judgment, which AI cannot replicate. Instead, I see AI as a tool that will complement the work we do by handling repetitive tasks, allowing lawyers to focus on strategy and advocacy, which are uniquely human skills.
I agree. Again, since international law is a people business, I highly doubt that company owners or private person will rely 100% on AI. You have access to very delicate information. On the whole, your profession requires a lot of integrity, which is something that yet cannot be guaranteed completely by AI. Unfortunately, we have already come to the end of today's episode. Thank you, Laura, for this interesting conversation about entrepreneurship and, of course, international business law. All the best for you, and I hope we meet during the annual conference of the Association for Latin America, the Latin American Day, next month in Hamburg.
Thank you, Tobias. It was a pleasure to be here in your podcast and hope to see you soon.